Good evening. Welcome to Dare to Share with Misty Lane. I am your host, Misty Lane, best-selling author of the book What Goes Up, award-winning speaker, and the founder of the movement, #BeThatOne. What is this, you might be asking yourself? Well, let me tell you about #BeThatOne. It is just a passion of mine to get transparency out into the world because I do believe it's a game changer. It saved me from all the toxic shame and guilt in my past. It kept me from letting my past rob me of my future. It changed everything for me, and I want that so badly for you as well. So #BeThatOne is a private Facebook group. I ask that you jump over to my Facebook page and join. And then I also ask that you share this video out because you never know who might hear something that me or our guests will have to say tonight that could help change their life. So #BeThatOne is a group. It's where I encourage others to step up and be that one, share their raw truth, share their life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy moments, the sad moments, so that we can become educated by each other's stories, so that we can become aware of different situations that we may or may not have ever been in before. And with that knowledge, we can judge less and mentor more. I do hope for the world that transparency will release that toxic shame and guilt. And that's why I have this show, Dare to Share, because once I've encouraged people and asked them to step up and join this movement to be that one, they needed a place to do it. So I thought, let's start a show, Dare to Share, give them that platform to step up and release their truth and talk about it and free themselves. So that's what this is all about, you guys. So thank you so much. And I ask that you, again, join the group, share it out. If you want to be a guest on the Dare to Share with Misty Lane show, you need to email me, guest to mistylane@mistylane.com. We are booked through January. I'm very excited and honored to say it's going very well. But we will get you on the books and get you signed up. And if you're just on the fence thinking, well, I might want to share, I might have some stuff I want to talk about, but I just don't know if I'm ready. I just don't know if I can do it, if I can find the courage. Let's get you on the books for February and then have a call with me and let me help you get ready. Let's do it that way, okay? All right, you guys, we have an amazing guest tonight for you. Let's bring her. Let's go ahead and bring her on in here. This guest is someone that I have grown to just love and hold true and dear. She's become a friend. She started out, I met her as one of the coaches on the next Global Impactor competition. And she is just, this lady's all over the place doing such big, amazing things. She is such a role model for me. I really look up to her in her business savviness and just her go-get-'em attitude and all the wonderful things she does. She has a beautiful magazine that she produces. She's written many, many books. She's got this large following, and I adore her. So I'm going to bring her in so you can adore her too. Dr. Vicky Omafalaji, all the way from Australia. Hi there, Miss Vicky.
Hello, hi Misty. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a lovely one. I really like it. I like everything about it. The color and your face, and then what the show is all about. Thank you for actually explaining that. I like that.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm following your lead, lady. I meant what I said. I look up to you. I consider you a role model. You give me a lot of inspiration because you're out there just doing. And I think to myself, well, why can't I do that too? We always ask ourselves, well, why? Well, why not me, right? Why not me? Exactly. I can step up and do it too.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Miss Vicky. Well, let's jump on over and see who's here and tell them hello real quick. Oh, wow. We got a full house already. Look at this. All right. Hi, Linda Campbell. Nice to see you. Good evening. Miss Carol says, good evening, Misty, to everyone. Good old Robert Brooker, all the way from Canada. Hello, Robert. Always lovely having you here and your sense of humor. Miss Sherry McQueen. Hello. Good evening. Yes, we're having a great day. Thank you, Sherry. Getting ready for one more hurricane to roll through, but I think it's shifted a little bit to our east. So thankfully, our already damaged homes and leaking roofs aren't going to get pounded again. So prayers for those that it is gonna hit though. Hello, Miss Helene Wilson. Nice to have you here. Hello, Linda. Hello, Lauren Harris. Hello. Of course, he's going to be on here, Mr. Lauren Harris. Love you, Lauren. Let's see. Robert Brooker, Sam's here. Hello, Sam. Nice to have you here as always. Lots and lots and lots of comments here. Trying to wade through them, but I know you're here. I love you all for being here. Thank you. I acknowledge you. Let's move on and get with Miss Vicki. If anyone has questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. We've got a lot to cover tonight. This is kind of going to be like a surprise bag, grab bag kind of interview. Uh, we didn't really set, usually ahead of time, I'll know at least a topic that we're going to discuss, and we'll maybe have a chat with the host, a couple of minutes just to get a feel. Vicki is in Australia. There's a 15-hour time difference and lots of barriers between my job and all her busy jobs. So we decided we're just going to kind of do it a la carte, just kind of pick one, choose one, go with one kind of thing, question and answer. And just, it doesn't really matter because she's so full of knowledge and wisdom. You're going to walk away with tons anyway. So it's probably going to be better that it's impromptu for all of us anyway. All right, Miss Vicki. So the first thing we always do on Dare to Share with Misty Lane is I give you the spotlight for 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of brag on yourself. I want you to talk about your biggest accomplishments, the things you're most proud of in life. And then because we know things are not always unicorns, rainbows, and cupcakes, that we were going to go backwards and start talking about some of the adversity that you've lived through to get to where you are now. All righty?
Yes, yes.
3, 2, 1,
okay.
Go.
Yep. Thank you for the opportunity to share. I always love sharing about things to bless other people. Not necessarily to talk about myself. I struggle with that. But right now, I will do that. My biggest accomplishment. My biggest so far is those 3 beautiful angels God blessed me with. The fact that they are wonderful, they are children to be proud of, they are great blessing to me and their father. And for that alone, I'm eternally grateful. So they are children that you want to always have around you. So when we talk about accomplishment, when we talk about success, it's always about what makes you feel on top of the world, what makes you feel. It's not necessarily cash in the bank. It's not necessarily the kind of car that you drive. It's more about what gives you the peace of mind. Because yes, you can have all those cars, you can have so much money in the bank, but if you're not contented, if you're not at peace, then all that is a waste, right? So
Right.
My biggest so far had always been those kids that God blessed me with. Because yes, He blessed me with those kids. And I'm always, anytime that I can, I always talk and boast about them. And the reason why I'm actually saying this right now is an experience that we've all been through within the last 2 years. And those kids, they just showed that the kind of bricks that they are made of. And it makes me so proud to call them my biggest achievement.
That's beautiful, Vicki. And I'm sure that those kids are tall and fulfilled all your proud shoes because of the parents that they have. I'm sure that all of your genes are instilled in them and all of your morals and values and your upbringing that you've imposed on them. I think that our kids are a product of us and how exactly. It's a reflection of the job that we've done with them too. So congratulations on that, and take that credit. And I agree with you. You know, a lot of us, when we think about being rich, we always think about money and the material things that we have in life. It's not until we slow down, or maybe it's the end of life that comes near us, that we really start churning and thinking about the important things, that we realize that our family and the love, or just the love from someone close, a bond with someone, that's the true riches in life. The people that are there on your deathbed to take care of you. You know, that's the true riches in life. That's at least
Mm,
the way I look at it. Okay, so we're going to start talking
mm.
about speaking of your kids. I know that you've shared with me before that you had a really hard time getting pregnant and having your children, and that it really brought on some senses of failures and some other things. So, do you want to talk about that a little bit tonight? Can we go into that?
Yes, let's go for it. I mean, I got married, and I mean, as an African woman, you get married, you start popping out kids 9 months later. In my case, it wasn't. So every month, it was always, oh my goodness, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And it wasn't. And I wasn't, by that time, we were living in South Africa, all right, away from family, away from friends. So my husband and myself, just with few friends around. Yeah. So every month it was always, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Crying, feeling depressed, feeling like a failure. That was the huge part of it. Feeling like a failure. I failed. And what now made it so hard at that time was there was another woman from Nigeria who I didn't know what I actually did to this woman, but she just didn't like me. And she started cursing. In my culture, when you look at somebody and you start cursing them, it's a big deal, right? Especially when you use the thing that they are really sad about. You use it and you use it, and she cursed and cursed and cursed, and it was as if I was watching Hollywood movie, right? I was like, oh my gosh. But I left the place feeling like Hannah. If you know Bible, there's a lady, Hannah, in the Bible, whose the husband's second wife kept ridiculing. That was the way I felt. So I went back to God and I said, what is going on really? Why am I not able to have children? Other people are mocking me. They are mocking me. I don't want to be in this situation. What is going on? You need to do something. I cried and I cried and I cried. And eventually I became pregnant. But that feeling of failure, because I didn't really do much about it, that stayed. But when I became pregnant, I felt, okay, this is it. And then 16 weeks after, I lost that pregnancy. Just imagine how overwhelmed I was with, oh my goodness, this is it. God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? And I remember it was just the most horrible time of my life. But eventually, I got pregnant again. But all in between being cursed, in between having my first child, we went through IVF that failed. And you know how
Oh,
much
my
that
goodness.
cost of money.
Yeah.
My husband was working day and night to be able to provide the money that we use for that. And when that failed, with all the stress and everything, I just thought, nah, if God wants to give me a child, He will eventually answer. I'm not going to stress anymore. I'm not going to even think about it anymore. I need to start focusing on other things. And that was what I did. Eventually, fell pregnant again, and my first, which I had I gave birth to in United States, which is one of the reasons why US means a lot to me, because that was the place where I met my miracle for the first time, you
Oh.
know. And so that was it. And then another one, and then another one. Even the third one, by the time she came, it wasn't planned. It was just, yeah, I mean, it happened. And I was like, God, I really can't, I don't have time for another baby. I mean, it got to that
Mhm.
point, and that's the way we are. But now we're talking, I mean, what I came onto your show to talk about is overcoming the feeling and the sense of failure.
Right. Let me back
I want
up
to,
though. Let me stop you, Vicky, for just a minute. Let me just back up a little bit. I have some
yeah.
questions and I want to make sure the audience is with us too, and maybe they're thinking the same things. I'd like to know, how old were you when you got married? And in South Africa, was there a lot of pressure? Are you pressured to get married young and have babies young? Is it like a social thing, or did
No,
you,
I
you know,
wasn't. I wasn't really young. I was 24 and a half
oh, that's
when I got
older than I
married.
was.
So I wasn't a kid. So I
Okay.
wasn't I mean, got married. I've already finished my first degree when I got married. So I wasn't a baby or anything. And my husband was over 30 at that stage. So
Mhm.
we're like, okay, let's have a babies and then move on with
Right.
life. But it didn't happen that way. And yet we've moved away. We got married and we moved away from Nigeria, where that's where we come from. We moved to South Africa to live and work. Um, so there wasn't any pressure really from family because we're quite far away from them. But the pressure was from people that we got to know there, Nigerians living in South Africa that are living around us. And
Mhm.
that was one of the women that cursed was there. Another man that my husband went into the shop to buy food for our dogs. We had two Alsatian dogs at that time. And the man started saying, walking the hall and saying, where my husband was, thank God I'm not buying food for dogs, I'm buying food for my children. I've been blessed with children. And all these people knew what we were going through. And when people throw, your adversity onto your face, it makes you feel small and it makes you feel like you failed. I mean, we
Yeah.
put ourselves under that pressure, but when other people now do things, say things, it just makes you feel like, what's going on? I really want this. I really, really am desperately looking forward to having this.
How did your husband react? Was he putting pressure on you? Was he being supportive? Was he blameful? Because I know a lot of men, in fear that it is their issue, want to point fingers and blame the woman. Well, what's wrong with you that you can't get pregnant with my child, kind of thing. What was he
Mm.
like during this time?
Oh, I call him my doctor, man. He is just one of the one person that just shows me how to love. Really, this man, all from day one, had always been so supportive, all through the journey of us not able to have kids. He never said anything about, oh, why can't we? What's going on? Or start looking at other women. Never. Never. He didn't even show me that he was feeling any kind of fear. He would say to me, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, let's just live our life and be okay. That was all that he says to me. And he will always make me feel like, yes, it's not my problem. It's not his problem. It's just God deciding when the time is ready. So let's just wait on him. Let's just wait on him. And I remember there was a time I was crying. I was quite emotional that time, and he held my hand and prayed, not prayed with me, actually prayed for me. And as he prayed for me, if he was kind of felt like God was telling him certain things, that he was going to bless us. He took me he mentioned Jeremiah. I can't remember precisely where in Jeremiah, but I know the plans I have for you, the plans for good and to give you unexpected end, something like that. That
Yeah.
he said he's going to give us children. He's going to bless us with a baby girl first, and her name is going to be Oluwashinayo, and that's what we named our daughter. So he being a man that knows God, being a man that loves God, being a man that cares, genuinely cares. He never made me feel as if it was my problem, because the doctors that we had cleared him. So it wasn't any problem. It was just, it wasn't the right time yet. And he was there, but I put the pressure on me. The other people put the pressure on me. And he was the only one that was there holding my hands through it all.
That's fortunate. You're lucky that you had him, that, you two had each other to get each other through it. But I know out there in the world, there's a lot of couples that struggle with getting pregnant, and a lot of them end up turning on each other, blaming each other, and it ends up ruining them. Some couples are never able to have a child, and they end up divorced before they even have conception, or they fight over the money that it costs for IVF. I know, especially in the LGBT community, they have to use IVF. It could financially ruin you. And there's a lot of arguments that come up, and fights, and divorces happen over that. And it's just truly, truly sad. And in a moment of transparency, I have to say this is really tugging on my heart, and mine's from another angle, Vicki. I have so much guilt because during my drug use, I had 3 abortions, 3. And it hurts. And I did it and didn't even miss a beat when I did it, just was so high, and then I think about people, and I hear stories like this about people that struggle and want so badly to have a child. And it's really hard. I know I have to forgive myself. I know I have asked God forgiveness. But it's a struggle. And I think that's why these shows are important, because we need to understand each other. There's always 2 sides. There's always your pain, isn't just your pain. Sometimes it's other people's pain too. And it's, it's tough. So I appreciate you sharing with us. I do want to go deeper into it and talk about, like, did it, if you don't mind getting intimate, I don't want to, if it's too much, then of course back out of it. But, so, like, did it cause a problem? Because, sex is a natural thing. It's natural. But sometimes when you're in a marriage and a relationship, and I know, like, a lot of mothers talk about this after they've had their children, they switch into mommy mode, and sex isn't the same as it was before. It's not passion driven. It's not natural. For some, it becomes more of a chore, if you will, or a habit, or a routine, or a fulfillment, an obligation. So when you were trying and trying and trying to have these children, did you lose some of your intimacy with each other? Did you lose some of your passion? Did it become methodic and ritualistic? Or talk us through that, if you would.
Because of what we actually wanted so badly. For me, that became the focus. And I'm always this driven person, like, this is what I want. I must get it. I need to get it. And that became the focus. And when I said the focus, I mean, even sex was just like, I have to do it, because if I don't, what I wanted will not happen. So, I mean, men are different. Men are totally different from the way we go ahead and get these things done. For me, I was like, I just have to do it, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to have the babies that I wanted. Now, for me to do this, I just need to get my brain to succumb to getting it done, because it is the means to an end, right? I have to
Right.
do it. I have to do it. So the passion wasn't there. And when I said the passion wasn't there, it wasn't because of the fear of, yeah, we'll do it, just like we've been doing it for the last years, months, and nothing came out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do this again, and that fear, that perpetual fear sitting in here deprived me of actually showing passion or feeling passion or really want to be passionate at all. Just wanted this done, that maybe this would be what God will use to bring forth that baby. All right. So passion wasn't, just wasn't part of it for me at all. It took it away. The stress, the fear took the passion away.
Right. And I suspected that that was probably the case. Um, so, all right. So let's talk about your first pregnancy that you lost. Were
Mm.
there, is there a medical reason? Did it just happen? How did you get through that?
See, I, I, one day I was just sitting there and I started crying. And my husband looked at me. That was his day off. He was a medical uh, doctor in a public hospital. And right there at that hospital is a crazy hospital where they're always so busy. So 24 hours shift, maybe 10, 20 operations. So that was his day off. So we were just sitting there watching a movie, and then I started crying. And he was like, "Why are you crying? What's going on?" I said, "I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry.
Hungry.
I'm really, really hungry." And he was like, "Nikki, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just hungry. I'm just hungry. What do you want to eat?" I mentioned something. He grabbed something for me to eat. I had that. The following day, the same thing. And he was like, something is not okay here.
You were
Then I
four
missed
months.
my period.
You said you were
No, no,
16 weeks.
no, 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 not just listen. As I was telling you the background story to
Okay, I'm
it.
sorry.
Um, so the following morning, he said, "Okay, Vicky, we just need to do a test. I need to know there's something not quite okay here." We did a test, and yes, I was pregnant. It was a joyful moment. Oh, joyful. I mean, I wasn't showing, but I would push my tummy out, for everyone to see. I'll be rubbing my tummy. Because I was just so joyful. I mean, and then it was 16 weeks into it. I
16.
booked into the most expensive hospital in Johannesburg, the most expensive OBYG and all that. So we were leaving like 2 hours drive to Johannesburg. I'll travel down to go and see my doctor, travel back home. And then 16 weeks, I started seeing water, started discharging water, not normal discharges, water, like clear, milky, not clear, milky kind of water. And my husband was like, "This is not right. We need to go and see our doctor." I called him, and we drove down. I was in the hospital for a week, my legs up, because they said something wasn't right. Eventually, we lost that baby, and my life was, oh man, it was terrible. It was the worst time of my life. Now, the doctor, without telling Stephen and myself, without telling us about doing autopsy, he did an autopsy on the baby, and he sent the report. When he sent the report, my husband read the report. He read it and just, you know, put it in the bin. I was in the study and I saw the bin was full. What's going on? So I saw this crunched up paper, huge paper. I took it out and it was the report that the baby had if the baby had been to term, the baby would have been will have been disabled. I mean, the spinal cord wasn't formed properly. The so many things were wrong with the baby. And then with the DNA and everything that he did, he found out that my husband and I were not uh, compatible. Compatible, in the sense that if we try to have other kids, those kids would not be will always have problems.
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, um, they will be. We will never be able to produce normal children. That was what he said in his report.
Mm.
So when my husband, I mean, that just brought out that fear of failure again. Fear, and
Mhm.
in his recommendation, he recommended that my husband and I we part ways. We go and find other people to marry. And I'm
How
like,
awful.
oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And when my husband came home from work and I said, why didn't you show me this report? And he said, why am I going to show you? What is it going to do? That report is actually not for us. I believe it's not for us, so I don't believe in it. He's a medical doctor himself, but
Mhm.
he's claiming that I know the report that I want. If this person is saying this, I reject it. I'm not going to take it on board. That I just glanced through it and I just put it in the bin because it's not for us. And here we are, almost 26 years in marriage, and we're still going solid. Three lovely, healthy kids. I mean, the report that was given based on science, based on whatever. But when the report came and we rejected it and we actually worked together to say absolutely not. We don't want it. I'm picking the report that I'm going to believe, not this report. And here we are.
That's right. You have to fight for what you believe in, don't you? You have to
Definitely.
fight for what you feel is true inside. You guys in the audience that are watching, I want you to type that in the comments. Fight for what you believe in. Just type that in the comments. Fight for what you believe in. We have to remind ourselves that we have a lot of power. We have internal power that we don't even tap into, and oftentimes we let life live out for us instead of us dictating how it's supposed to be because we don't use our own powers and our senses. Um, my daughter Lauren has that really strong motherly gut instinct. She always knew with Eliana when she was getting sick. From the moment of conception of pneumonia, she knew because her breathing pattern would change just ever so slightly. And when people would think she was overreacting, every single time she was right. Recently, when that tree fell in her house during the hurricane, when we were all in it, she knew all day long that tree was going to fall. She told us all day long that tree's going to fall and stayed in the back of the house. And sure enough, it did. So I think we have to learn to listen to that inner voice and learn to trust it. And when you
Mm,
said no to that report, I'm not buying into this. I don't believe it. And you could have given up that day, Vicky. If you'd have believed into
exactly.
that report, you could have given up, and
Mm,
instead you held true to what you knew was true and you pushed on and you became a fighter and now you have your three beautiful children, right?
exactly. Mm.
All right. I'm
And,
going to ask
uh,
you, Vicky. Go ahead.
yeah, and that particular incident with not accepting the wrong report, was the foundation to what happened when I gave birth to my first child. I gave birth to her, and 2 days later, the consultant, pediatric consultant, walked into my room with a student behind her, and she said, "Oh, sorry, we've conducted some reports on your daughter, and we found out that your daughter will never be able to listen, to hear, and she will not be able to talk." Another bad report. And I looked at her and I said, this is a gift that I've been waiting for so long. And you are telling me that this baby is not going to be able to talk and to hear like normal, but like other people. No,
Mhm.
I'm not going to take this. This is not for me. And quickly, my mind went back to what that doctor said in his autopsy report, that I'll never be able to have normal children. And then I quickly remember that no, I'm not going to accept this.
Mhm.
Just like I didn't accept it then, I'm not going to accept this. Look at this beautiful baby. Whatever
Mhm.
report is coming from the other side, the it's not mine. I'm actually not accepting it. I called my husband. He wasn't there. I called him and he said, please, let's do the same thing. We are not going to take on a bad report. This report is not for us. So here we are. My daughter, she's almost 21 years old. She's
Yeah.
about to finish her first degree. She'll be finishing her first degree in 2 weeks. She's vocal. She's loud. She's happy. So I'm like, in life, you've got to choose what report you want to take on, you want to accept, what report you want to reject, and go for it.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you said you have to choose because one of our guests brought it up too. I think it was Scott. He said, where is it? He said, acceptance is a beautiful thing. And, here it is. Yeah, Scott said it. Acceptance is a beautiful thing. There are some things in life that we do need to accept, like with my grandbaby, Eliana. We hope for miracles, we pray for them, but then there's a time and point where you have to just accept it is what it is. And then there's times, like you said, when you know and you just have that feeling deep down that this isn't true, and you keep on and you keep on and you fight for what you believe in. So I see both sides, like
Definitely.
we said earlier, there's two sides of everything, right?
Mhm.
All right, Vicky. So
Definitely.
this is that time. Thank you so much for sharing all that. This is the time in the
Mm.
show where I ask the guests to really tap into their emotions. I want you to get as vulnerable as you're comfortable getting with us tonight. And I want you to think of a time that maybe it might have been your rock bottom. It might have been one of your deepest, darkest times. But I want you to think of something that you're daring to share with us tonight in transparency so that we can see that we're not alone in our battles. We can see that we're not alone in our pain. And then you can show us how that moment either pivoted for you or how you were able to rise above it and get to where you are today, because you're in a beautiful spot today. So I'm going to go to commercial break and recognize the sponsors. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you to share that moment with us. Okay.
All right. Yep.
Thank you. So you guys, I ask that you just that you go over and listen to these sponsorships, and that you promote go to their websites and promote them and help them as so that they can continue helping this platform. Thank you so much. Today's show is sponsored by Simple Changes from Wanda Reynolds. Make a simple change today for a healthier tomorrow with products like Simply Satisfy, which aids in gut digestion and curbs your appetite. Mental wellness is directly related to gut health, so keep a happy gut with Simply Satisfy. Then there's Simply Soothe. It helps relax your sore muscles and it supports your overall joint health. Simply Start is made from 100% organic hemp oil. It promotes your calmness, supports sleep, and maintains healthy joints. Contact Wanda Reynolds today through Facebook Messenger or at scdso.com/live life wonderfully. Health provides simple solutions to whole body health. To get and stay healthy, we offer Somaderm HGH Gel. Would you like to sleep like a baby and wake up rested? Do you want to feel maximum benefits from physical exercise? Do you want to burn through that afternoon slump with energy to last well into the night? Well, you can. And you may also experience 25 other whole body improvements with the gel. It's effective, safe, FDA registered, and very affordable. Diane has immuno boosters and keto support products too. Contact Diane Chasik at lifesmilehealth.com or text lifestyle to 64600 today. All right. Thank you. Again, check out our sponsors and help support them as they continue to support this platform. Thank you. All right, Vicki. So I asked you to think of something, a vulnerable moment that you would dare to share with our audience today in hopes of educating us and helping us gain awareness so that we can see how you've used that adversity and that pain and risen above it. So what have you chosen to share with us?
I would choose the my recent experience with grief. Um, I've never, up until March 31st, I haven't really lost anyone so close to me to death. So when my mother, my beautiful, strong mom, went to be with the Lord, she was sick just a few days before. 2 days before, she was in the hospital, and my siblings and I, being a first child, we've been talking about, okay, what are we going to do as soon as the COVID thing is off? I will bring her to Australia and get her checked and get her looked after. That was the plan. And so she went to the hospital. My husband was talking to the doctors, and we were trying to. She's asthmatic. She was asthmatic, and had been since she was a baby herself. So we were like, okay, maybe the asthma, get this medication for her, blah blah blah. And then the lady, one of our neighbors, was with her in the hospital. And that young lady called my brother and said, Mom said this. And what she said was, I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. And that broke my heart because I'm here in Australia. I've got a little sister in North America. I've got my other sister in UK, my one brother in South Africa. So we were all away. She was there all alone. That broke my heart. And I quickly called a family friend, my mom and dad's family friend, and I said to the man, please, Mom is in the hospital. I need you to go and be with her in the hospital. She was feeling alone. So I sent a message to the page that we share messages with my siblings. I sent a message that I've already called this man to go and be with Mom, not knowing that by then my mom had already passed, because my brother sent a message right there and then and said, don't worry, auntie. He calls me sister Buki. Don't worry, Mom has gone to be with the Lord. And I read what he wrote again. And I said to Stephen, read this. Don't tell me, don't tell me that is no, I was reading it wrong. Stephen read it and he said, oh, no, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And he was trying to call. And that was when it just dawned on me, my mom had gone. And I ran from the lounge to the front, to the back, to upstairs and down, and I was screaming. I've never been like that before. This is a moment of transparency, right? And I think we've talked about grief, but that moment in my life, it was as if I just wanted to go and not be here anymore, And I was screaming, I was rolling on the floor, I was crying, I was screaming. My children were asleep. It was 11:30 p.m. They all came downstairs, they saw me, and they were all trying to hold me, and I was just running up and down. Went out to the front yard, I was screaming. It was evening time. And that moment in my life, I never want to go through that again. I sat down and I was just like, why would this happen to her? I felt as if, my cover has been taken away from me. That was the way I felt that day. That this woman will fast and pray for me, for all our children, for my kids, for everyone. I mean, this woman, tell her that you're struggling with anything. What she will come up with, what she will say to you, as soon as she finished talking, you feel like, oh, it's done.
It's
Everything
okay.
is okay now. That's
Mm-hmm.
the kind of woman that she was. And I thought, oh my goodness, who will be there for me? Who will keep praying for me when I can't pray for myself? Who will be there to support me when I'm struggling with anything? She had always been that kind of person that you can just share anything with her. You feel like, okay, she's taking over the load and you can be okay. You will be all right
Right.
now because she's taking everything over. And that that broke me, Misty. That
I
totally
remember. I
me.
remember
It
it was a tough time for you. I remember it.
it
I'm
was
so
the
sorry.
toughest time. Yeah, I thought losing the pregnancy then was tough. This was the toughest for me, and 3 good months of me not able to do what I love doing. I mean, I couldn't see my client. I had to, because I felt like I failed them. The sense of failure comes in from time to
Mhm.
time when things are not the way you wanted it to be. I had that sense like I failed again. I've been helping people. So I've been helping people through their grief journey. Now it's my turn. I really didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to handle it at all. I was in a very bad place. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I couldn't
Yeah.
eat at all. And I mean, not eat anything for over 2 weeks. My
Mm.
husband would sit with me. He couldn't walk. He couldn't go to work. He couldn't go to work. And he would be crying. And it got to a point I had no tears anymore. I couldn't even cry anymore. I was just there looking and looking, didn't know what to do. And it got to a point that I'm like, God, you did this. You took my mom away from me. You took my cover away from me. How could you do
Mhm.
this to me? You didn't love me. You promised that you will always care for me. Why would you take my mother? And I'm not first. My mom had me when she was 19 years old. So
Y'all were
I'm
close.
my mom's first. And I couldn't
Mhm.
help myself. I couldn't help my brothers and my sisters. I mean, I have my baby sister who is in North America, and every one of us, we struggle, and we're still
Mhm.
struggling. Though now I'm much, much, much better. Much,
Well,
much
I'm glad
better.
to hear
And
that. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
I know I
Mm,
know that cycles back to what we were talking about earlier is some things you fight for and some things we have to accept. And this was something that was final that you had to accept. You didn't have a choice in that matter. She was
mhm,
gone.
mm,
I know you
exactly.
and I did a show together after that, talking about grief and the process that
Mm,
you have to go through. You have to allow yourself that time and space to feel the grief and to go through that process. Um,
mm,
how so? Looking back, you said that was your absolute worst moment to date in your life. So looking
yes.
back now, how can you what can you share with the audience as far as was it just coming to terms with it and accepting it? Was it that you learned how to properly grieve? What are the positives that have come from that, and how you've come up from there from then to today?
I mean, the moment you're able to talk about it, that's the moment that whatever it is that is holding you back doesn't have power anymore. When we had the show, that was just the beginning of my healing because I started talking. I couldn't talk for 3 months. I couldn't bear to look at my mother's picture for over 3 months. I couldn't bear to think about her for over 3 months. I couldn't bear my mom. She was a Christian fully, and we have all these Anglican hymns that we sing, and I grew up watching her sing the way she sings, she'll look up like this and she'll sing with, with all her might. And I couldn't bear to look at any hymns, to hear any hymns being sung, like, oh, amazing grace. I couldn't. It was just like every time there is an hymn, it's like I could see my mom's face singing joyfully, and I didn't want to see that. I just wanted my mom, to be here, to be healthy, and all those things. When I started talking about her, sharing about her, and looking at him singing and seeing her when I closed my eyes singing those hymns, those songs, and I could see her smile. She had dimples, with dimples and, beautiful eyes. And I'm like, okay, that for me, that was me accepting it. And for me, that was me releasing, getting the old off me. That, yeah, she's gone through this journey of life, and she's gone back home to be with the Lord. And she didn't come to this life and just pass through like some people will have done. She came and she won.
She won.
She won. She won
That's
because
beautiful.
she gave birth to someone like me and my siblings that are doing great, individually. And not just that alone, we, I mean, our legacy lives on in me and my siblings. Our legacy, which is the reason why I do what I do. And if you've noticed, Misty, since it happened, even my push to get things done, the way all the things that I've done since then, it has been amazing,
Yeah.
because I choose now to honor her, because she said something to me a week before she passed. She said to me, Vicky, I spend a lot of money every single day buying data. In Nigeria, they have to buy data to be able to go on YouTube or watch or go on Facebook. That I spend a lot of money. She mentioned how much, thousands of naira every day, so I can watch your show, so I can listen to you, so I can read your post, because
Oh,
you are so much to share, and I'm always so happy reading. I'm always so happy watching
that's
you. You
beautiful.
make me proud. And